Okay, at this point we've prepped our OBD port and we've got the battery power wires coming from the BP fuse block down. We've controlled them with a wrap of tape to keep them at the length that we want them. And we're going to start tying in the communication wires and the battery positive wires for the OBD port, the ECM, and the TCM. So that's the OBD port wires coming in. Again, we've controlled them at the length that we want them.
Let's see, these three for my battery over here.
And so going on that orange wire from the fuse block is going to be the 12 volt power wire going to the ECM, and then the OBD diagnostic port are all tied together on that circuit. Just going to do an end splice, quick solder, cover with shrink tube. We'll clip the end to make it uniform and clamp it to seal it.
That's those.
And so this is the TCM power wire, and it's the same process if it's the external T87 TCM or if it's the internal T43 that's in the 6L80 transmission. Grabbing the red wire off of the BP fuse block and attaching it to TCM battery constant.
Got some black on this one.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to give it a wrap of tape and then kind of control. Again, it's all about controlling the spaghetti. So in here, we're going to get it kind of held together. Just give it a wrap of tape. That way you're not dealing with wires sticking out all over the place. And the next thing that needs to happen is we're picking up the fuel pump signal wire. That's the relay wire. It's a green wire with a white tracer coming from the BP fuse block. And then we have to get the trigger wire coming out of the ECM that triggers the BP fuse block. This particular wire is going to be a gray wire. And again, you can get that pinout location from alldatadiy.com. Again, an end splice, solder, shrink wrap, call it a day.
That's that one.
All right, so now what we're going to start doing is we're going to handle the communication or the CAN wires for the OBD diagnostic port. And as a side note, CAN always begins at the ECM. So CAN always begins at the ECM, travels down, goes to the TCM, through the TCM, and then back up to the OBD port on a standalone harness. So in this case, the twisted pair white and blue wires for CAN on Gen 5 go down the harness to, well, it's around the corner there, to the TCM connector, back up through the harness, and then they're poking out right here where we've opened up the harness. And those are going to get tied color for color to the OBD diagnostic port. Little tight to be doing a alignment splice in there, so we're just going to do an end splice. Put these together, shrink wrap, crimp the wrap, and be done.
Done. Only 2 more wires.
Yeah. Now the last circuit is going to be the ground wires for the relays and the BP harness, and then we also have to have the ground wire for the OBD diagnostic port attached. And what we're doing is we're reusing the ground wire that comes from the GM harness, and so this is the main connector that goes to the end, or the main terminal that goes to the front of the engine block, and that ground wire is coming down through here, and it's going to be this guy right here that we did not cut off. We'll tie these into the 2 wires from the fuse block, the 2 wires, and the single wire from the OBD port, and that will give us a known good ground so that we're not relying on chassis grounds.
Warm.
Okay, and now we've finished with attaching the BP fuse block. All of the circuits have been attached. We're now laying down the connections and securing them into the bundle, and we'll proceed with the
Pedal.
pigtails and the pedal.